say compliments of the season to the members of the press, and thank you for coming. We thought, as council, we needed to set the record straight as to what is happening with our roads. We understand and we have observed that the roads have deteriorated sharply through successive seasons. I'm here with Engineer Rusere, who is in our roads department, heading it. Yes, he heads the roads department. And I am Jacob Mafume, the mayor of Harare. And we thought that it is very important that we clarify the situation of the roads. We want, and as any of the residents, we are concerned at the deplorable state of our roads. It's an issue that has seized council since time immemorial. We have tried by all means to try and repair the existing roads and build new roads, and a number of problems have been created. But from our perspective, it's mainly a framework issue. The framework issue will give you a historical background. Our roads, as you know, were built by the city of Harare since the beginning of the city. We have a huge road network in terms of tarred roads, which exceeds how many kilometers? We exceed 5,000 kilometers of tarred road in Harare, and this was built by the residents of Harare over time. In 2009, a new creation was created under the Roads Act, which brought in a creature called Zinara. Now, this creature called Zinara and vehicle licenses, using one justification or the other, was taken away from city authorities. The history of Zinara has been laid bare for all to know. Since 2009, Zinara has not built a single road in Harare. It has struggled to give us money to repair the roads that still exist in Harare. For a period of time, Zinara dabbled in high-level corruption. They were buying aeroplanes. At some point, they had huge packs for their executives, swimming pools, hair for their wives, and so many other packs one could think of that could be bought using public money. Quite recently, they have put their house in order. I understand a new board have been put in place, new executives have been put in place, but the situation has not improved. The Roads Act, Chapter 13.18, provides for road authorities responsible for maintenance of roads in their jurisdictions, and the seat of Harare is such one authority. The Act also provides for a roads fund authorities responsible for collection of road user fees and the distribution of the funds to roads authorities. That is where the Zimbabwe Roads Administration Authority comes into being. They, a few days ago, published an article in the Sunday Mail, dated 22 January 2023, where they were claiming to have disbursed a lot of money. This article was put out in the Sunday Mail. We cannot leave this article unchallenged, the falsehoods in the article unchallenged, the misrepresentations and the deliberate inaccuracies and the distortions by Zinara. We as the city of Harare demand transparency and accountability as far as the distribution of the road funds are. This is a serious issue. The law is very explicit and stipulates the following as road user fees. It stipulates vehicle license fees which used to be collected by the city councils, being the authorities responsible for the area, for the roads in the area where they have jurisdiction. It also stipulates a fuel levy and a carbon tax. Currently, only part of the vehicle license fees is being distributed to the roads authorities in terms of the Act. The other fees, we have not seen a dime or a cent. In the last 5 years, out of expectations of plus or minus 60 million per year, City of Harare has received less than 2.5 million per year. We expected an annual, that is if we were using road user fees alone, vehicle license fees alone, the City of Harare should be getting in excess of plus or minus 60 million US dollars per year. We have only been receiving plus or minus 2.5 million US dollars per year. The City of Harare has not received anything from the fuel levy. We have not received anything from the carbon tax revenue in the past, and this is another area where we are demanding our fair share of the cake. Most of this fuel is being bought in Harare. Most of the carbon pollution is being done in Harare because of the vehicles that we have here. But we don't know or we don't see that money. The allocated budget for the roads rehabilitation for the City of Harare was 2022 was 958 million Zimbabwe dollars. We received 1.4 and 31 billion Zimbabwe dollars. However, if we are to be conservative and assume that Harare has 800,000 registered vehicles, but we do believe and we do know that the vehicles should now be in excess of 1 million registered vehicles. The vehicle license costs $20 per quarter for most of the private vehicles. It therefore means if we were collecting ourselves as Harare, we would be getting 64 million US dollars annually. This would make a huge difference in our road rehabilitation programs and also the creation and building of new roads, because most of the suburbs, as you remember, were illegal settlements. These were settlements that were invaded. These were settlements that did not have a developer, and therefore these settlements are not being handed over to the City of Harare with roads infrastructure. They are being handed over under a regularization program without roads, without sewer, without any service. Therefore, we need to build new roads. There are very few developments where we are getting an intact settlement as we are supposed to do in terms of the Roads Act. So we are supposed to get 64 million. And 800,000, in excess of 800,000 motorists pay $20 US every quarter to Zinara. That should be plus or minus 64 million US dollars. By some strange formula, a formula that I think has been manufactured in hell, Zinara then gives us 2.4 million US dollars per year. Where is the rest of the money? And I'm talking about registered vehicles in Harare only. And Zinara and its chief executive and the board chairman condemn cities to paltry figures of 2.4 million. I personally went to ask, and I was accompanied by the permanent secretary of the province, permanent secretary Muguti, to ask the chief executive of Zinara, how does the money that they get from the motorists of Harare not just come with a subtraction of a commission? Let's say they think we can't collect money, and they want to collect it for us. Of the 64 million, how do you give me 2.3 million to do the roads per year when you take 64 million? Maybe if we reverse it, even they should take 2.4 million for the commission to buy themselves cars and the spas and go for massages as they wanted to do, and give us the rest to build the roads and not to lie to the nation. Now, that 1.4 billion translates to 13 million using the official rate as at 31 December 22. This amount is not even enough to cover 5 kilometers of road reconstruction. To illustrate the said state of affairs, in the sector, we had a target of 40 kilometers road rehabilitation, and because of this little money that came from Zinara, we only managed to do 2.5 kilometers road rehabilitation. We need our routine maintenance was supposed to be 450 kilometers, and on this one, we managed to do 436 kilometers using funds from City Parking Private Limited, not the funds from Zinara and our own budget provision. If Zinara, and what Zinara did is criminally bad, they then gave us the money as we were closing in December. This is the money that they told us they are going to give us at the beginning of the year. They then gave it. I was phoned by the FD after the last council meeting that we held here. The financial director then says, Mayor, we have received 1 billion or something, is it 1 billion from Zinara. When we have closed. When we have closed for the year, if they had given us at the beginning of the year, as they had said in the budget, that amount would have done 89 kilometers. But that is a drop in the ocean. We have 5,000 kilometers of road that we are supposed to maintain and construct. Most of the road, the engineer here will testify, have outlived their lifespan. Their design life has already gone. We are squeezing every inch of life that we can get from the roads that were done years ago. But yet there's a body that is collecting from vehicles in excess of $64 million from the residents and the motorists of Harare. And annually, they give us back $2.4 million, meaning that they take 62 million of that amount and use it for God knows what. We don't know what they are using that amount. What is very clear is that the Zinara model is not working. It is better that we get the money as the city council and we rehabilitate and construct the road as we did when we built these third roads that we are squeezing beyond their design life. What we need to do with the amount of money, we've got a quarry. If we had that $64 million, we would have used it to buy a new machine for our quarry so that we can get the road materials and we don't have to buy it from private quarries. We need a new machinery at our quarry, which we are going to look at. I was supposed to do a tour of the quarry, but it is short notice. We will arrange for a tour and we will invite you as the press so that we can use the stones from our quarry, and if we buy the machinery, we can use that to start repairing the roads. We also need to create our own asphalt plant to renew it. We had one. We need to buy modern equipment so that we don't need to do this. And all this would cost way less than the 64 million that Zinara is taking annually from the motorists. We would then use that internal. We would also be able to buy the plant equipment used for road construction. That is the trucks, the graders, and so forth that are required. and we will then put it to use to repair the roads. We will also be in a position to then build new roads in those suburbs that are not, or that we have to regularize and were not developed at the time when they were then surrendered to the city of Harare. And another problem we are having, a lot of municipalities are building around Harare, and their motorists come to work in Harare, send their children to school in Harare, they come to be treated in Harare, and all these cars, they travel into Harare and use the road infrastructure, but they don't pay a single thing. We are having the same problem in water. Harare is providing water to Chitungwiza, water to Norton, water to Epworth, water to Irua, and we are not getting paid for these things. They're just piling debts, and we buy chemicals, cash upfront. We are not getting overdrafts for the cash. We are not getting overdrafts for the material that we are buying, but we are giving services to the rest of the population, A, for free in the case of motorists that are coming into Harare, for free in the case of water that we are giving to other municipalities, and we are not getting paid a single dime as Harare, yet we have to raise. The vehicle license fees that we are supposed to get, they are then taken by Zinara and swallowed there, and they bring trinkets of money. So we are going to take Zinara to court as the city of Harare. We are going to take Zinara because we can no longer continue to play like this when people's cars are being damaged, when the roads, accidents, the road network is fast disappearing, yet there is an institution that collects in excess of $64 million per year and does not remit that amount of money from where it is collected. Road user vehicle license fees the world over are used to repair. Carbon tax, they don't give us our share. Fuel tax, they don't give us our share. Yet most of the fuel consumed in this country is consumed here in Harare, and we are not getting a share to repair the thing. Most of the corruption, what do you call it, pollution happens here in what? In Harare. Yet we can't buy smoke detectors, we can't buy equipment that is required, and that is the norm internationally to monitor the air quality here in Harare and to take measures to deal with the air quality in Harare. So we as council will have resolved that we need to take Zinara to court so that at the very least we can get our vehicle license fees. Maybe the fuel and carbon tax, that is a job for other parliamentarians and for parliament to call Zinara to task, to call. We'll ask the parliamentary committee on local government, we'll ask and the various relevant parliamentary committees to call, what do you call it, to call Zinara and make them account, and also call the local authorities so that we can present these self-evident facts that we are not getting anything and that the Zinara model is not working. We have resolved ourselves to use other monies from other pockets to buy the stones and the tar that is required at least 500 tons per week, so that we can then do the pothole patching and the repairs that we can do. But to be able to do a comprehensive roads program in Harare, we require these statutory funds to contribute to the well-being of the motorists in Harare. If these do not contribute, we will remain with an outdated road network. We shouldn't be talking about rehabilitating these designs. We should be having new designs. We should be having a new ring road around Harare so that motorists that don't need to go through town, don't need to congest the town. We should be having flyovers and so forth, spaghetti roads and so forth. That is what we should be talking about. But because we are not getting these vehicle user fees, we are talking about repairing an old network. We also need to be talking about a light rail system so that we can take people out of their cars and put them into a light rail system between Chitungwiza and ourselves and right around the suburbs, taking advantage of the new steel plant that is going to be commissioned just 150 kilometers away from Harare. And that is what we should be talking about. But because of models that don't work, models that have got mafia-minded people manning them, who see no qualms in lying to the nation and issuing statements that do not make sense, we are stuck with talking about rehabilitation of a road network that doesn't work. So those are the solutions that we have proffered, and that is what we are going to do at this point, take Zinara to court. I went to the Judicial Services Commission opening, and part of the complaints that were coming from even the judiciary was that the roads, they can't also move when they want to come to the courts. So everyone is worried about the roads. I was at Baines Clinic, the Avenues, that is our medical district. They were saying the road was so impassable that ambulances taking women to deliver are being delayed. It is just does not make sense. If you look at the roads in some of the suburbs, they've become rivers and so forth. They are impassable. So what we need and what we are going to do is we are going to have to take this Zinara cabal to court so that this cabal can be dealt with in order and be deconstructed so that we can get our dues and that they don't take the residents and the motorists' money and give back $2 million US after taking 64 million, in excess of 64 million per year. In the past 5 years, from 2009, can you imagine the amount of money that they've taken? And they've failed to build a single road. These other national programs are important, but they are supposed to augment and complement what is already happening, like the emergency rehabilitation program, which they said they are going to do, but the roads are not working. The quality of the roads, the contractors don't know the road making, the materials that they are using, and they start a road in the middle of the road, finish repairing it in the middle of the road. Sometimes a whole national agency is working on a stretch of less than a kilometer. Look at Southampton. A stretch of less than a kilometer, Southampton police station. How does a national body concern itself with a stretch that is smaller than the driveway, I'm sure, of the chief executive of Zinara's yard? I'm sure he has a driveway and a third road longer than most of the third roads that are in this country. Yet he issues statements lying to the public that he has given city authorities money when he is not. It is unfair, and if it's not it's borderline criminal for him and his executive to misrepresent facts as they did in the press on Sunday. They should put a picture of the chief executive's driveway in that paper, not a picture of the mayor praying and say the mayor was sleeping or snoozing. They take a picture of the chief executive of Zinara's driveway. You will see that it is longer than the third roads that he is giving to us. I don't know what his name is. What is his name? Do we know the name of the chief executive of Zinara? I'll find out and I'll say it here as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the situation with the roads, and that is why the roads are in the state that they are in. It is because the monies and the resources that are supposed to be coming to the authorities are not coming. They are coming in dribs and drabs and disproportionate to the amount that would have been paid by the road users to do that. And other municipalities are using our roads. We don't know what we might have to do. Maybe we will need to have discs, different discs for ratepayers of Harare, so that we know that this is a ratepayer of Harare, and the person who is not a ratepayer of Harare, we develop a different disc so that they can be charged for using our roads or our services, so that we repay these things together as a nation. Thank you.